Welcome to the Inspiring Good podcast. This podcast is brought to you by the Community Foundation of Elkhart County, which serves a vibrant community in northern Indiana known for its generosity and strong network of nonprofit organizations. I'm Marshall King, your co-host with Kevin Deary, a veteran nonprofit CEO who now coaches others. Today our guest is Francis Disori, who became the executive director of Lexington House as it reopened in 2020. Lexington House provides support for those with mental health challenges. It has roots in the 1970s, and Francis is a leader who has been a social worker for more than 35 years and lived in Elkhart more than 30 of those. Welcome, Francis.
Well, thank you for having me. Good stuff.
Good to have you here, Francis. I had the privilege of going to the Lexington House just a few weeks ago, and you gave me a tour. And the first thing that just happened when I happened to come, I think you probably maybe arranged that I would pop in on a clubhouse meeting. And it was so good for me to see that, to really understand your mission and to see how happy the club members are and how engaged and plugged they are in to the mission of Lexington House and how much your guiding hand really sets back and allows them to run the house. I was so impressed with that. And so I just wanted to thank you for that. You've been part of our CEO roundtables, and you always bring joy and you always bring clarity to other leaders around you. So I just really respect you, and I'm really glad that you could be with us today. Tell us a little bit about the history of the Lexington House and how it came about.
Sure. Lexington House of Elkhart, first of all, has its roots, as mentioned earlier, to the early 70s. And I credit the visionary of people out of Oaklawn who said, we have a need for people to feel needed and they can contribute. We look at strengths and every day, meet up, cup of coffee, we got support rather than staying at home and isolating. Well, in the 1970s, clubhouse model as we know it today was still taking pretty deep root. It has its origin to New York City into the 47 to 48, where a group of individuals who recently got discharged from a state hospital or a hospital setting were sitting on the steps of the New York Public Library and saying, hey, they don't get us. We need to find housing. We need some money. We need mostly each other. So they created something called the WANA, We Are Not Alone group. From there, generosity spoke. They ended up finding a place in 47th, 48th Street down in Hell's Kitchen called Fountain House because a big fountain in the back. All right, it's a space and there's a group. From there, it took deep roots, and during the 50s, they added some staff to give some balance because in the clubhouse model, it is not top down. We are all colleagues there. Members and staff work side by side. So it is one of the unique places, and I really value this because it lines up with my own who I am. Can be doing the bathroom side by side with somebody, cleaning the toilets. At the same time, I could be working on finances and switch out to doing a podcast. All in the same day, but not too far away from what my day looked like. That is clubhouse model. We are all human beings connected and support. So the clubhouse model grew, really transformed in the late 70s, got some teeth, got accreditation, got international clubhouse. And from there, it took off. There's over 330 of them around the world. So it's just not in Elkhart County. And Elkhart has two clubhouses. There was Elkhart County Clubhouse, Rich Meyer, now since retired and still part of our community and one of my teachers. Value Rich greatly. He is definitely an asset to this community. He said, until we get one in Elkhart, we'll stay the county. But once we get one in Elkhart City, then we will move to Cordell House. And they've taken off. They've been around, I think, 11 or 12 years. So we're blessed to have two in Elkhart County. But I don't think that's by coincidence. I have shared, and you were at the gathering at our Monarch Gala, which is our big fundraiser. And the leadoff is, and I believe this in my heart, Elkhart is a very rich county, one of 92, But it's not just about finance, gold and silver. It is really about our humanity here, that we are rich. And I see that every day, the wealth of the nonprofits that serve this community. Among the 92 counties, we're in the top 3, in my opinion, because I've had the privilege to travel around the state with other businesses and other parts of my career. And Elkhart County, yes, we are rich. Our humanity, kindness, is the language here. I hope that was helpful. Clubhouse, how it works, very simple. It is not a place like my wife goes, "What?" When we first started Clubhouse, she said, "What do you do there? I mean, what do you do?" I said, "A lot." And it's about not getting in the way. It is about restoring confidence that I can get out of my home or wherever I call my dwelling, and I can gather with other human beings, and I can interact with other people. Oh my goodness, I'm doing it again. And isolation and loneliness gets trumped by what goes on at a clubhouse. That's the win of the day. Do you know how much courage it takes? If you've ever had a history of mental illness, and I've got to be frank, I have. And it's a very scary place to be at times. So to make it out of that place, to come and be with others, and then all of a sudden realize, hey, there's some task. I can answer a phone again, and I can work a computer. And by the way, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. This is fun. Color comes back in. That's what club does. And you saw some of that. It wasn't me. The less you see the staff, the more the club is healthy, because it's the members running the club.
I love what you just said. It's not black and white, it's color. I mean, they bring color back to their life.
Amen.
They feel it, they own it, they think it. They have a chance to give back. They have a chance to work as a team. You can almost feel like they breathe in there comfortably. They're moving along to an order to the day, but yet they work together, they communicate well, and they feel so at home in their place. And that level of ownership comes from the model that you're talking about.
That's right. The clubhouse model has been around now, really from 48, the core, but we have celebrated, it's been shaped. And what I can tell you, and I visit other clubhouses around the country, when people come back and they thought that they had no more hope, and people don't get you, and you don't have the confidence, the upside about mental health challenges or condition is that it doesn't discriminate. So we have individuals have very rich backgrounds, from people who have gone through high academia to people 8th grade education to people who have come from all different parts of social economics. But the golden thread that goes through them is that they do understand the indignities and the disruption that mental illness can cause. So when you come to a clubhouse, there's very little judgment. Everybody gets you.
Could you dive a little deeper into specific diagnosis and mental? That's such a broad term, but there is a lot of different types of diagnosis that are in the clubhouse. And could you delve a little deeper into that?
I can. I'm going to choose not to, but I'll give you a broad stroke. The DSM-5, which is the Medical Diagnostic Manual, there's like 280 different diagnoses, and then that breaks down a little further. At the end of the day, we are human beings. We are not our conditions or our mental health conditions or illness. Is there a range? Absolutely. To be a member at Clubhouse, there's 37 standard steps, part of the accreditation process of Clubhouse International. Number one is like with, if you have a history of mental illness, you're 18 and over, you're in the club. Now, there's some other qualifiers, but at the end of the day, that's the only 2 bars that you have to meet to be part of Lexington House. We choose that. That's what comes in. We don't dive in. What we do very well is that we link to providers like an Oaklawn, like a Heart City, that provide mental health treatment. So if someone is in need, then we link, we help connect, we'll take you over. That's what we do. But when people come in the door, we don't ask diagnosis. We say, what's your name? Do you like coffee or water? Because that's first drinks on us.
I love how you talked about, I was very impressed with the advocacy, the ambassadorship, but also how you help them work through government disabilities. You help them with transportation to any medical needs they have. We both have a friend whose son is a member of the Lexington House, adult son, and the impact on the families, how much that they have been working with their son or daughter, and how much they can't wait to get to the Lexington House. They have a place where they belong, and how the parents and the grandparents feel about the Lexington House has been, and you saw that at your gala, just all those families that just unite around the Lexington House. And can you talk a little bit about working with the families?
I can. There's this myth out there that people who belong to a clubhouse aren't connected. They are. Some no longer connected. We highlighted that recently at our gala. We had some members and their families step up and talk about the impact of how a mental illness can impact the whole. It's like a ripple effect. And I get that from my own experience of being mentally ill, how it impacted my two kids at that time. They were in high school, one in college, and my wife. Like, wow, this is not dad, right? So it impacts the whole ripple of this family systems. So when people come to club, it's voluntary. We don't supervise, which immediately empowers the person, right? So, but what also helps is that when, let's say, a loved one says, hey, they're going to clubhouse, we know where they're at. They're not in bed sleeping. I got to tell you, that gets old for the family members, or we don't know where they're at or what they're doing. That's, again, we're adults. The clubhouses are designed for adults, not under 18. So that's something to think about. But it is a peace of mind for people.
Francis, what you mentioned that we're a rich county and we are caring for those around us. Give us some sense of how you feel Elkhart County is doing in its approach to mental illness, providing resources for those and treatment, and also the stigma that still hangs over mental illness for some. Though obviously we've come a long way in battling that. But I'm curious what your thoughts are about kind of the state of things on that front.
I'll take the first part. So Elkhart County, if you take out off like Monopoly board, take out Oaklawn, take out Faith Mission, right? Just take those two out. How do you think the tapestry would look here? I'm going to pause because some counties have been impacted that way. They lost their community mental health center, or their homeless shelter closed. And the reason I bring in homeless shelter is that they're high percentage, right? I'm not saying all, I'm saying percentage. If you look at the dynamics here in Elkhart County, I got to be straight up with you. I've worked for both those wonderful organizations because it was a choice, but also I gravitate to people who are trendsetters in their head. They have the vision. Oaklawn has the vision. I mean, at the end of the day, if we didn't have Oaklawn, there'd be a problem. It'd be a little different tapestry out there. If we didn't have Faith Mission in Michiana, it'd be really different out there, right? We work together. And plus, there is this great network. I didn't realize this until I moved here, and really, I'm still discovering in our county, in our community, in our city, in particular, the vast pantries that our churches offer and the connection. It is awesome. And the real strength of Clubhouse is the members. They know how it all works. And so I take notes. So they may come in with knowledge from prior employment, like QuickBooks, working on website, but I'm more intrigued about how they know where the housing and the meals and the planning and where you can get this and how do you get that taken care of and how do you navigate the benefits. Elkhart County is leading, my opinion, for what it's worth. Backside of the stigma. Obviously, you're picking up that I'm a big champion of mental wellness. It's a term that many people don't kind of lean into. I lean into it well. I do have some mental health or brain health, because technically it's brain health, condition. I've been a student of brain health a long time because of my own personal reasons to go really way back. And I'm like, wow, I can lead by example to my kids and my grandkids and how to stay in the wellness part of my condition. How do I do that? Well, there are ways, but if you don't know what those ways are, it's really hard to practice them. And now you're playing catch up. And it becomes choices. So I'm a big advocate of brain health and proactive. I have worked in my professional career in the range, and particularly the high acuity. That means the high end of the indignities or the trauma associated. State hospital gatekeepers. I work with medical teams around the 5 state hospitals in the state. I worked with the ERs. I worked first responders, homeless. And I was on the front end of a lot of triage and stabilizing. And as we all know, not all the time it goes well. So I spend this part of my career on the rehabilitation part and getting back in the game, getting the color back when you didn't think you would be color again. I love The Wizard of Oz. I think it's a great piece that when you go from that black and white to that color piece, that's how a lot of people re-energize, and they didn't know that it was in them. By the way, their family didn't know it either. And it's like, oh, it's just different. It's shaped different. It's actually somewhat better.
I was so impressed when I came into your clubhouse and you have a giant whiteboard in the living room. You have this giant whiteboard, and it is the chart of works. It is the order of the day, and it is so well organized. And to watch your members go through that board and assign duties, can you talk a little bit about how important that whiteboard is to the order of the day?
Yeah, Rich Meyer, who I dropped his name earlier, Rich is just, what a blessing. He has great stories. I hope you'll have opportunity to interview Rich. You'll learn much. Whiteboards are part of the clubhouse model. It's part of our tapestry. We do something called the work order day. People say, what do you do in clubhouse? Well, we do the work order day. Work order day, there's 2 meetings. There's a morning meeting at 9:15 at our club, and there's one at 1:15. And they are the tasks of the unit. Who's going to do what? So there may be 50 tasks. They're not chores, they're tasks. And people work side by side doing that. So the person facilitating or the 2 people facilitating the meeting saying, who wants to do what? And it's amazing that people want to do something rather than be on. You don't get told what to do. You don't have to. That's the work order day. It gives structure to the day. People can learn by shadowing, observing, then doing, building confidence. If I can do this, I can do that. Right. And then the backside of that is that we have a very large board. As soon as you walk in the main entrance, I thought that's where we were going, is that we have, just like any other business, a calendar, very big. Here's what your club is doing today. And where are you? We celebrate anniversaries, how long you've been part of the club. Every year we celebrate, your name is up there, and birthdays. That's the human connection of Clubhouse. Why would you not want to come? It's revalues or reshapes your image of, wow, I'm important. Right, there is a need for you to be needed here. Come, help, be part of this. Because there are people coming in their own steps of their journey who can benefit from you being here. Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, wow, I'm here. And it works forward. And I've seen that beauty. I'll give you an example. I had the great privilege, and I call it a privilege, of going with an individual to a job interview, getting the job, going to the first day orientation, and being part of a first-time job for somebody who's late 20s, early 30s. Then driving, getting his first vehicle, who now is still employed, still driving. I was just with him before I came here today, and it's moving to see joy from somebody who was told joy wasn't part of that spectrum anymore, right? I've had other experiences. That's not about me, though. I don't live vicariously through. I have the privilege to be part of. It is their clubhouse. I'm part of their clubhouse. It is not my clubhouse. The power of club lies in the members. The IQ of the club, the energy of the club. It's a moving tapestry. You don't know who's going to be in there every day. And it's a play, and it goes on. And then we move it forward. Why would why would you not want to be part of that, right? I do, because I've worked the other side, and I mean, that's not in me anymore. That's all out. I don't got any more to give. I enjoy this part. And not that I didn't enjoy that, but it was a different phase.
I would encourage anyone who has not seen the Lexington House to come in and see this model at work, to watch the members take such great pride in it, move the tasks of the day along, and find and make their own color and joy. And as we were walking around, I had many of your members come up and just introduce themselves to me, comfortably, confidently. I just thought that was so impressive. And do you need anything? You want a coffee? You want a water?
Kindness.
Kindness.
That's right.
Pure kindness and acceptance.
Right. I see myself where I am in my own journey. I know we're going to talk maybe a little later, but because it's not about me, but it's where I'm part of their tapestry of the club, is being embedded in kindness is a good thing, right? That's where I want to spend the time I have remaining on this game, with being kind. The only other time, I see it, I shouldn't say the only other time, but I run the city in the morning, and I do. I love running. And I run the river walk in Peace early, and I run into people there. And, this is Elkhart. I've been running there a long time. And when I hear good morning, and I say good morning to everyone I greet, and I get a good morning back, you can't get more genuine than that. And to me, that's my blessing of the day. I mean, we've been around, three of us, right? I mean, you get people say, hey, how you doing? That's great. Blah, blah, blah. When I get that in the morning, that's as raw as you can be. Good morning. How are you? Yeah, I'm all right, man. It's good. Good day. Have a good one.
That's very cool. And I don't want to squelch this lovely flow of kindness and goodness, but I also, like you mentioned, the Wizard of Oz, and there's this point in the Wizard of Oz where everything, it goes from black and white to color. In order for Lexington House to be a place in which this kindness can sprout and this color can blossom, there have to be people helping you out, like donors, board members, staff members. Who are some of the people around you, this collection of people who help make Lexington House a place that people can come to every day?
Yes, good question, right? So we started off in Lexington House in the middle of a pandemic, September 3rd, 2020. We opened a nonprofit. I had a conversation with a person from International Clubhouse, said, why would you be opening a nonprofit clubhouse? You don't even have your nonprofit status, corporation ink dry. And I remember what I said to him. This is Elkhart, Indiana. It's fertile ground here. I know that from my prior history of the people and companies that I've entwined with. They don't give it away here. Tough vetting. First rule is get vetted by the Community Foundation of Elkhart County. You get through their screen, we may talk to you. Well, we did. And to our surprise, our being Rich and I put together a grant, a challenge grant, best kind of grants. You got to put some skin in the game, raise 100 to get 100,000. Okay, we have $4,000. We don't have a place of our own. We want to grow a nonprofit during the pandemic. Okay, line up, give us the money. When everybody was pulling back, within 9 months, we raised $100,000. That didn't happen by chance. So to answer your question, fertile grounds. And that's Elkhart County. I'm not just here to sell Elkhart County, but I come from a community where it used to be fertile ground, and they didn't take care of it. They went from a city of around 65,000, very promising, to now it's less than 4,000. So I've seen the erosion. It's like upside down economics, their main export, where quality individuals leaving. I remember listening to Levon Johnson from the Greater Chamber a few years back and talking about how do we retain. And I'm like, right, how do you retain and build? Not just people, but companies. And Elkhart is fertile ground for that. And back to my original piece, this county has 2 clubhouses, not one. We start off with Community Foundation of Elkhart County. Faith Mission. And at that time, River of Life Church. What they did for us, we have board. I work with a great board. We can talk about our board in a minute. But River of Life Church brought us in. And I mean, they basically, we had like 4,300 square foot. And what they were charging us, I was like, we don't have any money. And they said, we'll figure it out as we go. And they did, and we grew with them. That's the power of Elkhart in our community. So partnerships is the key commodity. We follow a business model, Good to Great, Jim Collins, I'm sure you're all familiar with it. We don't chase the capital. Capital will come if you do the right people at the right times with the right partnerships. We build partnerships. But you don't just get partnerships. People got to believe in that integrity and the mission. And we have some deep connections, starting with Community Foundation of Elkhart County, United Way. I want to go on to Oaklawn has joined that group. And I do want to do a quick shout out to one of our businesses, Karen and Jeff Kripe of Label Logic. They've been with us since the beginning, and they're a homegrown company here in Elkhart County. I don't know if you know them, but I got to tell you, we're blessed to have them. But they very good business people. They started their business in a garage. They connected to us. I hope that answered your question.
It does. It does. Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about you. You've been kind of weaving yourself in and out. When we first met, I was very taken with you because as a former CEO for 30 years, I've come across a lot of people that are kind of coming through leadership, coming and going. But your passion, your clarity, your advocacy was like crystal clear. And in this podcast, it still rings crystal clear, which is what I've been so impressed with you. If there was a new executive director that was coming in to start a nonprofit, any nonprofit, what advice would you give that new executive director?
Be open to learning and applying. Surround yourself with people of integrity, hardworking, but smart people as well. And you don't have to be the smartest one in the room. These are all early lessons, and I've been blessed, going all the way back to the beginning of Francis, to have some really wonderful people that have pulled me aside and have given me life lessons. And although painful, most of the time, merited great life lessons later. So find a mentor to or a group of people. I love what you all offer and I'm part of. Going in once a month to the round table with other CEOs, we're all different, as you know. But we have a common thread. There it is again. We have the same challenges and we're alone. But in that room, we're not alone. We are together. We're human beings and the part of our journey. And we get to be human beings. We're not CEOs, executive directors, whatever title you want to give us. At the end of the day, we're laughing, we're crying, we're upset, but we are together. And there's energy coming into us because most of our day we're spending our energy out. How's that?
That is beautiful. We often look to be fueling stations for others. And the roundtables, the retreats, and the things that we do, there are fuels. We get fuel from each other because you're not alone. That can happen even with CEOs, executive directors, feeling isolated, feeling like you have to move everybody, fuel everybody, and then what's left, who's fueling you? And so I really appreciated you sharing that because that's how just about all the CEOs feel when they get together. Over 100 of them, including Kosciuszko County now, gather because they're not alone. And they get to learn best practices, and I thank you for sharing that.
So, Francis, thank you for being here today, and thank you for the work that you do. I want to wrap this up today by asking, what gives you hope?
The generation that's coming up. I've had the privilege, and I do currently, to have interactions with a lot of our young leaders. And what I learned from them is that they are looking to be fulfilled more by the connection of what they do, whether it is in social work or economics. Fulfillment is a higher priority to them. And that will only make things move forward, saying, okay, fulfillment, I feel good about this. This feels right in me. I want to, this nonprofit over here, this rings some bells for me. I want to be part of it. Okay, rather than, doesn't line up with our, no, this is me. So they're seeking out fulfillment more. I really enjoy the energy of the new generation coming up. The other part of that, really quick, we are in the 21st century. We have access to like Google, but we also have information about neuroscience that 10 years ago, 30 years ago, they would never have thought about. And the knowledge that comes with the neuroscience, I mean, if you've watched, neuroscience is a hot topic for kids and individuals going to universities. There's a reason for that. The study of the human brain is really on the cusp. Clubhouses, really quick, is also, we're figuring out what the magic is. It's not about magic. We can do the neuroscience to show you that, how this is working. I get very excited about that because for the I don't want to say non-believers, but it's about the math and the science. And we live on the planet at our time in our journey. We can put them together. And I hope I live long enough to not talk about the stigma of mental illness, but the brain health and how to be proactive with it. And what are the blessings that may come of that, rather than, oh my God, what are we going to do? So there you go.
That's beautiful. Thanks for being with us today. And thanks for reminding us about the magic and the beauty that can happen in unexpected places. This show is a production of the Community Foundation of Elkhart County. It is powered by equipment from Sweetwater and recorded in the Viaggio studio at We Impact in Elkhart's River District. Music is provided by Sensational Sounds. Editing is done by the award-winning communication students at Goshen College, home of one of the best college radio stations in the nation. Listen to Globe Radio at 91.1 FM or online. Learn more about the Community Foundation of Elkhart County at inspiringgood.org. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Thanks for listening. We hope you're inspired and inspire good in your community.